In this video, we'll explore 7 of the most dangerous driving illusions you can encounter behind the wheel. It's long been known that the human brain is easy to deceive, simply because it's not perfect, just like everything else in our world. That's why there are so many different types of illusions that can easily trick our minds, especially when it comes to how we process visual information. But there's a big difference between illusions designed for entertainment and those that occur while driving. When illusions affect drivers on the road, they can pose a serious threat to everyone around. Below, you'll learn about the most dangerous psychological and visual effects that can mislead drivers and potentially cause harm to themselves, their passengers, and others on the road. First, tunnel illusion. When driving through a tunnel, it's easy for a driver to lose the sense of real speed. Especially during long stretches of monotonous driving, the brain begins to adapt and no longer registers how fast the vehicle is actually moving. As a result, the driver may inadvertently accelerate without realizing it. This becomes particularly dangerous in dark tunnels where oncoming vehicles have their headlights on. The contrast of bright lights can temporarily blind the driver, while the distorted perception of speed can lead to accidents. This illusion can occur even when oncoming vehicles are using only their low beams. The effect is caused by a sudden contrast between bright light and the darkness inside the tunnel. After spending time in low lighting, even moderate headlights can feel blinding. The danger is twofold. The driver may unknowingly exceed the speed limit, then, once dazzled by lights, may brake sharply, which can result in serious collisions, or even cause the driver to lose control of the vehicle's direction. To stay safe in tunnels, always turn on your low beam headlights and parking lights, closely monitor your speed and stay within the legal limits, check your speedometer regularly to avoid unintentional speeding. Second, distance illusion. Drivers with little experience or those who have just received their license should pay special attention to the illusion of distance. This illusion is dangerous because if you keep too little space between you and the car in front, you might not have enough time to brake in an emergency. This effect is also common for those who have recently switched to a different vehicle. New car dimensions, seat position, and visibility can all affect your depth perception. As a result, the driver may misjudge the actual gap between vehicles. That's why it's so important to always maintain a safe following distance. And if you're unsure, it's better to keep too much distance than too little. Here are some basic guidelines. In city traffic, the minimum safe following distance should be at least 15 meters, roughly the length of 3 cars. On highways or rural roads, base your distance on speed. A good rule of thumb, divide your speed by 2 to get the minimum safe distance in meters. For example, at 100 kilometers per hour, keep a distance of at least 50 meters. Note, this formula only works in dry weather on good road surfaces. If you're driving in snow, heavy rain, fog, or poor road conditions, you should double your distance. An even more reliable method is to measure distance in seconds, because it adjusts for any speed. On a dry road, keep at least a 2-second gap. In bad weather, increase it to 4 seconds or more. How to apply this in real life? Pick a stationary object ahead, like a tree or a road sign. When the car in front passes that point, begin counting. 21, 22. If you pass the same point after 2 seconds or more, your distance is safe. Third, color illusion. Surprisingly, the color of a car can have a significant impact on road safety. Studies have shown that most people perceive moving objects differently based on their color. For example, dark-colored vehicles often appear to be moving slower and seem farther away than they actually are. In reality, they may be traveling faster and closer than the driver perceives. As a result, their speed and distance tend to be underestimated. On the other hand, light-colored or brightly colored vehicles often create the illusion that they're speeding toward us and much closer than they really are, when in fact, they may be moving slowly and still far away. In these cases, their speed and distance are overestimated. This is why light and bright-colored cars are generally considered safer than dark or dull-toned vehicles, simply because they're easier to judge correctly in motion. Fourth, speed illusion. When we drive at high speeds for extended periods, our brain starts to adapt to that pace. As a result, our perception of speed becomes distorted. It begins to feel like we're going slower than we actually are. This illusion is especially dangerous in situations such as after driving a long time on a highway or expressway, when you then enter a city or residential area where the speed limit is typically about 30 miles per hour or less. Many drivers fail to adjust mentally and continue driving at highway speeds, violating traffic laws and creating dangerous conditions for pedestrians and other vehicles. All drivers should be aware of this illusion, but it's especially important for beginners. Without much experience, they might take turns or drive through narrow streets at speeds that are too high, as if they were still on the highway. This can result not only in fines for speeding, but also in serious accidents. That's why whenever you exit a highway or enter a lower speed zone, be sure to monitor your speed carefully and reduce it in advance according to the posted speed limits and road conditions. 5. Width illusion. While driving down a boulevard or road lined with trees on both sides, Besides, drivers may experience a false sense of narrowness. It feels like the road is tighter than it really is. The faster you drive, the narrower the road may appear. However, as soon as those trees disappear, for example, when the surroundings open up into a more spacious area, the road suddenly feels much wider. At that moment, many drivers subconsciously begin to accelerate without realizing it. As a result, the vehicle can end up moving much faster than the driver perceives. This increases the chances of unintentional speeding, getting caught by speed cameras, and a higher risk of accidents due to misjudged speed and road width. Sixth, curve and straightaway illusion. Due to natural terrain and geography, roads are rarely perfectly straight. They often include a mix of sharp and gentle curves. It's common for drivers to accelerate on straight sections and slow down before turns. This habit is natural, but it can play a dangerous trick, especially when driving through mountain roads or highland passes. Imagine you're driving along a winding mountain road where short straightaways are quickly followed by long, sweeping turns. After some time, many drivers get used to the rhythm, become too relaxed, and start relying on their intuition, assuming they can feel the upcoming curve. This is a dangerous misconception. Each mountain curve is unique, with its own angle, radius, and traction conditions. A single miscalculation can cause the driver to lose control, especially if the road is unfamiliar. Additionally, if the driver habitually accelerates after every turn, they might not have time to react if the next section is another sharp turn, not a straightaway. In such cases, the consequences can be very serious. To stay safe, increase following distance when driving in winding terrain, always leave extra space for safe maneuvering, and most importantly, enter turns at a reduced speed. This simple habit can prevent many accidents. Seventh, time illusion. A driver's mood can significantly influence their behavior behind the wheel. When you're in a good mood, time seems to fly by. But when you're upset or frustrated, time tends to drag. Moreover, when you're in a hurry, it can feel like time is running out, which often leads to stress, impatience, and rushed decisions. This mental pressure can cause drivers to become less attentive and take more risks on the road. However, for the sake of safety, it's crucial not to panic. Even if you're late, stay calm. In fact, it's often the rushing and attempts to make up time that lead to traffic violations and serious accidents. Remember, when you're running late, it may feel like time is speeding up, but that's just a mental illusion created by your brain. It does not reflect reality. Regardless of the situation, stay patient and composed, do not speed, follow all traffic rules, and above all, ensure maximum safety, both for yourself and everyone around you. Of course, there are many other illusions that can influence drivers, but in this video, we focused on 7 of the most dangerous ones, the types that most often lead to misjudging road situations and, as a result, to traffic incidents. Always remember, under the influence of various factors, our brain can distort perception, including distance, speed, time, road width, and even our own confidence. Every driver should understand how these mental effects work and learn to recognize and overcome them in order to maintain maximum safety on the road. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.